Hello Scorpios, this is your 2019 abundance reading for all 4 fiscal quarters for, like I said, 2019. And we are going to look at your abundance year from January, February, March. That's first quarter. And then second quarter is April, May, June. Third quarter is July, August, September, and the fourth and final quarter is October, November, December. So we're going to just go ahead and dive right on into your abundance reading to round out your yearly reading. So what we'll do is if we have a card, 1 or 2 cards is fine, but any more than that, I will either just listen to my intuition and reshuffle them, or I will just have the cards, the subsequent cards, the extras moved to the following month. But 1 or 2 cards per quarter is okay. All right, thank you, Spirit. All right, we are asking about Scorpio's abundance. What's happening in the first quarter? What advice do you have, Spirit? Any insights that you have about what's to come for Scorpios? And any advice? Oh, let's see a card that. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune. What about in the second quarter? What's happening in the second fiscal quarter for Scorpios in abundance? We have Queen of Pentacles. Nice. What about the third quarter? What's happening in July, August, September? The Tower. And then what's happening in the fourth quarter? 3 of Swords. All right. All right, Spirit, can you give us some additional insights? Okay, we have let's see, I'm just gonna it says focus on your priorities and cooperation instead of competition. And for the second quarter for Scorpios, what is the Queen of Pentacles about? Or what advice do you have? Thank you, Spirit. We have pay yourself first. Nice. What about this Tower card for the third quarter? What is that about? It says face your financial fears. And power of prayer as you're facing those financial fears. And then 3 of Swords in the fourth quarter. Sir, can you give us some more? Oh, thank you. Savings. More information about savings for you. Okay. And can you give us some additional information for the first quarter? Fear. What about for the second quarter? Any additional? Oh, those are clumsy. Perseverance. What about the third quarter with the Tower? What additional info? The balance here. And then finally, in the fourth quarter, what is the 3 of Swords about? And what is the savings card about? We have 2 cards. Ceremony. And abundance. Ooh. So despite some disappointments and some letdowns, some beautiful things are happening otherwise in your life. All right, so we look at the first quarter, which is January, February, March, and we have the Wheel of Fortune. Things are turning around, but you're having some things this year in 2019 that's causing you to have some fears. Whether these fears are unfounded or not, that remains to be seen. But right now, it's just kind of consuming you, and you're not quite sure how you got to this cycle. You fail to realize, though, that there are cycles to everything, and so you are being called to go through this lean cycle because it's time for you to finally face your fears about lack, about surrounding not getting things right away, surrounding addictions and such. You're going to be working on focusing on your priorities during this time in 2019 and realizing that cooperation instead of competition is the way to go. This is the antidote to everything here. These two cards. This is, okay, your will is turning, and it's turning into a fear space. How can we work, with that energy? Well, we can focus our priorities, and we can recognize that it's all about cooperation instead of competition. That's how we turn the wheel of fortune around if it's not to a place of our liking. It says, focus on your priorities. Where you put your focus is where you receive your outcome. Your priorities are calling to you, which may produce a feeling of anxiety unless you give them the time and attention they and you deserve. Even a small amount of time devoted to your priorities will help you feel better and more confident. And then we have cooperation instead of competition. What's yours is yours, and no one can take it from you. There's no need to compete, as there's an abundance for all. You have complete access to unlimited abundance for yourself and to share with others. With cooperative partnerships, you can accomplish anything. So just recognizing that, the fear is coming in because you're feeling like this strong sense of competition, Scorpios, with a particular person or people at maybe your job, for example, or maybe your counterparts or colleagues in your industry that you work. They're doing the X, Y, and Z, and you feel like you're stagnant. Well, you got to shift your focus away from the stagnation and towards what actions you can do. And soon you will start taking baby steps, which leads to bigger steps, which leads to leaps and bounds and growth. We move into the second quarter, and the second quarter has this with the Queen of Pentacles, someone who has nurtured and cultivated a beautiful workspace, a wonderful home life. I'm doing your part to foster a great work environment, whether you're a boss or whether you're an owner or whether you're just an employee, and not just employees. The employees really makes the place run. So you're just in a great receptive place of receiving all the bounty that's come from your hard work. You've persevered, and you're coming out on top like this fish, and it feels good. It's going to feel great as you start to be rewarded, as bonuses come in, windfalls of extra money. Maybe you file taxes and you're going to get a refund. Maybe you find out you get a promotion and a raise in this quarter between April, May, June. That's correct. And it says, pay yourself first, dear folks. Make sure your most important financial obligation by setting aside a portion of your income every time you are paid. This loving form of self-care ensures that you'll have savings to invest in your present and your future. You'd be surprised how so many people don't save anything. They don't save anything in like a retirement plan. They don't save anything in their checking and savings. So this is inviting, especially for those folks like that who just barely deal with the dang bank. I get it. I get why you don't want to deal with that, but you have to pay yourself first. I can't. There's no way around it. You have to invest in your future, and it's so to keep persevering. But as you stack those coins, know that it's time to pay yourself and start that savings account if you don't already have one. And for those who have a business and thriving, you need to make sure that, again, you're paying yourself first. You may now be at a point in your business where, yeah, you feel a little weird drawing a salary because you don't feel like you're making much in sales, you still need to draw a little portion of the salary to pay yourself first and foremost. That is priority. Then we move into the third quarter, which is July, August, September. We have the Tower card, which is, things turning onto its head, new ideas having to be adopted quickly, just everything turning upside down onto its head. And this is about you facing your financial fears, and you end up doing this goal of facing your financial fears. Something happens. You find out about perhaps maybe a loved one or someone near you. Maybe an ex has to file bankruptcy. That could be a Tower moment. A breakup could be a Tower moment. The car breaking down could be a Tower moment, and now you may be facing having to get a new car. You've got some financial fears happening as a result of something external happening that you were surprised. It could even be maybe not so external. It could be something to do with health, as far as like maybe a relative needs your help right now, and that turns things onto its head. Things are not the same because they've been sick, and they've been sick a while, and so you are having to strike a balance with your regular everyday life, your work life, your passion life, and then the family members who really need you. And so let's take a look at face your financial fears. When you are honest with yourself about fears of success or failure, they can no longer control you. Be free of hidden fears by exposing them to the light of awareness, and you'll realize that you in fact have nothing to fear, and that every successful person has struggled with and released these self-doubts. So I know it's going to be challenging in the third quarter to really face on your financial fears, but it will behoove you to do so, because you need to know your starting point of where you're starting and where you're ending. So if you're starting to strike up deals to negotiate some old debts with certain creditors or collection agencies, you want to make sure there's a balance in the contract that you have. You want it to be fair. You don't want to pay an exorbitant amount of fees when you only racked up an X number amount in dollars. It is a pain in the butt, but in the end, it's going to be good to go this way versus the haphazard shopping way I was doing in the past. It says, power of prayer. Give the situation to God for uplifting and healing, and be open to miracles. Heaven's unlimited resources, love, and answers are awaiting your prayers. Be sure to act upon the divine guidance God gives to you in response to your prayers. So you are facing financial fears, and you're doing so with the balance of the power of prayer. You're recognizing the importance of bringing balance into your life, and so it's helping you with this Tower moment that is unfolding in your third quarter. In your fourth quarter, you have the Three of Swords, which typically feels like disappointment, feels like some sort of betrayal, feels like, a letdown in the area of, just some anxiety, some upsetness, definitely disappointment. Maybe disappointment in your inability in the beginning of the month to save like you want, or perhaps you're just dissatisfied with how you're living, and you finally get to a place where you're open to receiving some advice in this fourth quarter, which is the 19th through the end of December. But as opposed to constantly being in this dynamic where you're disappointed because you don't have enough, now you get a little bit and now you feel okay, but then now you're back again into this cycle. And this is what's constantly bringing up this Three of Swords disappointment card for you. To counter that, just begin saving. Begin saving exactly where you're at. If you can only save $25 a week, that is okay. If you can only save, $15 a month, that's better. That's better than where you were before. So it's important to recognize how imperative it is to have a savings account in your life. How it's super important to think about your future. We have savings. It says, as you consistently save for your future is saved. You do your future self a big favor as you consistently set aside present funds. This is a part of your self-care and path to feeling secure as you focus upon your life purpose. So, in ceremony and abundance, some of you, in terms of a ceremony, could be maybe getting married during this time. Others, but it's got abundance. So I get a sense that initially you start off with the Three of Swords energies in the beginning of the fiscal quarter, but as time goes on, you begin to start saving. And then at the end of 2019 ceremony, there will be a recognition of all the hard work that you and your team have put in on a project, for example. You may have a ceremony in terms of a wedding ceremony. Some of you may have ceremonies, opening ceremonies for businesses that have started. Others, it could be the demise of a marriage with the Three of Swords here and having to divvy up the assets, the savings. And the ceremony is kind of like a closing, a melting of going down and not necessarily being robust flames that are facing upwards. And then you have abundance here, a pomegranate. I love that fruit. So there's no shortage of opportunity to turn this Three of Swords around, this disappointment, this grief. Maybe you've heard word that you're not going to get a bonus after all, or a raise after all, so you're disappointed about that. But don't get so hung up on those things. That's a temporary setback, but it's not the end-all be-all. You need to shift your focus back to what's really important at hand, which is starting a savings account, which is checking in on your 401k through your employer. And if they don't have it, then it's time to speak to a financial advisor who can help you, because you're going to need guidance in 2019 to help, especially if you're starting a business, things turning onto its head. You are going to definitely need some guidance that can't necessarily just be found by yourself. So definitely save for that. Even savings is going to be paramount to your happiness and success. And you're going to have an abundance of good things once you're able to kind of push past this grief here in the fourth quarter. All right. I believe we have gone through all our quarters here for the 2019 year. I wish you all a very beautiful, prosperous, abundant new year. And I thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Much love, my dears. Many blessings. See you all in the next video.